brand, the best of the best. We are going to begin with Bishop Stewart University Strategic Plan launch. Allow me invite the diocesan secretary, Ankole Diocese, Reverend Canon Edson Abasa, to lead us in an opening prayer. Canon, you're welcome.
Shall we kindly stand for an opening prayer?
Check mic. Hell.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we give you thanks. We give you praise and honor this afternoon as we gather before you. We thank you. We thank you because this is the day that you have made. May we rejoice and be glad in it as we witness the launch of the strategic plan of Bishop Stewart University, but as we also witness the launch of the best of the best. We thank you for the minds behind the best of the best, but also the minds behind the strategic plan for Bishop Stewart University. We thank you, O God, that we are here to launch
the strategic plan launch. Thank you.
Into a Cambridge University of East Africa. That's the idea that we have sold all the members of staff and our council and our board of trustees. And to achieve this, we need a roadmap. This roadmap is the strategic plan that I'm going to present. And I will be very brief, so I'm not really talking about Bishop Stewart University, when it was started, its values and all these sorts of things. There is a lot going on. We have so many innovations. There are several projects going on. You have seen that the ranking of Bishop Stewart University in the Webometrics is number 11 out of slightly above 60 universities in this country. It is also ranked the 4th best private university out of slightly above 45 private universities in the country. There is a lot that we are going to do in terms of changing the teaching and learning to deliver real transformative education, in terms of research and innovation, in terms of community engagement, because we are running away from building a university that is an ivory tower. We want to run a university which is a community resource center. In terms of internationalization and global competitiveness, digitization, and several other things. So you'll allow me to take you to the next slide, to the strategic plan itself. So this strategic plan is going to be implemented in the 2 phases. one phase that we call phase 1 is going to focus on general campus improvement, because impressions matter. No one gives you a second chance to make the first impression. And so when you get to a place, you should immediately appreciate that there is something useful going on there. So we'll be remodeling buildings and re-roofing them with clay tiles. By end of 10 years, my Lord Bishop, we shall present to you a university that is perhaps the best campus in this region. Part of this has actually started going on. So we'll be remodeling and re-roofing buildings, strengthening them and re-roofing them with clay tiles. We are already working on digitization, a platform that will take care of both teaching and learning, administration, finances, human resource, library, and every other thing. And we'll be launching an e-campus soon. We will move the direction of our curriculum to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we'll be moving into competence-based teaching and learning. But as we do that, we'll also be embarking on groundbreaking research and innovation. And we have started on those. There are some projects being funded by the Office of the President, Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovations. I'm a co-PI of one of those. And we are developing the first herbal antibiotic to treat foot and mouth disease. And so there is a lot that is going on in that area, and we are going to strengthen those. So that is in the first phase of the strategic plan, which we call preparations for takeoff. As we get the second phase, we are going to aim for the stars and for the sky. We will become globally competitive and raise the university to a much higher level. If I can summarize the strategic goals that we have, one is delivery of transformative education, not just impartation of knowledge that many universities do. And we are taking it a level higher. We are looking at each and impacting each and every student. And so we'll be asking program coordinators, we'll be asking heads of departments and course unit instructors to provide evidence that they have impacted every individual student. And this will be measured. And we are aiming at impacting a student in the first 2 months of joining BSU. The first 2 months. Every student should call back home and say, Dad, you brought me to the best university. I am different. First 2 months. And so we'll be moving, as I said, in the direction of competence-based education. We'll be emphasizing character education, entrepreneurship education, and of course technical competencies that are globally competitive. The second one, which is technology transformation, will enhance our delivery while moving away from a manual way of doing things. Of course, we are already using technology, but we are going to take it much higher. We would like that before end of next year, an e-campus is up and running. You don't have to come to Bishop Stewart University campus to study from Bishop Stewart University. We wish to have a situation where somebody can enroll into BSU while he or she is in India, study while they are in India or any other country. I'm using India because there is somebody from there whose home we went to. Do exams, be assessed, and even invigilated virtually, and graduate, or just come to BSU to graduate, or even graduate when you are there. This is what we want to see. And in that way, we will not just be competing for about 40,000 students that complete A level. We will get the whole world to become our catchment area, and the entire world population to become our catchment population. That's where we are heading. Then the other one is campus beautification and enhancement. I have said impressions matter. When I first went to BSU for unveiling, my daughter came there, and so she said eventually, after the function, she said, Dad, hey, the university isn't looking so good. That was her comment. But I said, yeah. In the end, you will be happy when we have transformed it, when your dad has participated in its transformation. Now, recently she came there, and she said, oh my, the place has already changed. And yet, we are just beginning to effect the changes. The place will be transformed. I have a very credible team. It is running very fast. Actually, now it is running faster than me. So I need your prayers because I have a chancellor who runs very fast, the chairman council who runs fast. So I tell my team, you run fast. So if I'm a bit slow, at least somebody they can see somebody around them. So impressions matter, and we are going to change the visuals, the impression, because we are turning the entire BSU into a very beautiful campus. We'll be working on landscaping, on planting good trees, and the buildings will all be remodeled, strengthened, improved, and re-roofed with clay tiles. And we have already started doing this. Those who have been to the campus, and we'll pave all the roads and the walkways. And we have done this actually now, I think up to about 85%. Those who have been there in the recent past. So these are doable, and we have started doing them. The other one is community engagement. As I said, we don't want to run a university which is an ivory tower. We want a university that is engaging with the community. And I can report to you, Mr. Chancellor, and the other guests who are here, many of whom are some of the best, that BSU has been training over 3,000 people from refugees and their host communities in Chikube, in Kamwenje, in Nachivale. We are training a number of, and we take our teams of instructors and students doing agriculture to Nyabushozi, to Chiruhura, to participate in improving agriculture. So BSU is already going in the community. Of course, I don't want to mention the obvious, that on the spiritual front, we are a team of missioners. And we are going out to the community to preach the gospel, to meet with men and women, and to talk about responsible fatherhood and motherhood. We have been going there. And we are going to do it a lot more. Then there is the aspect of internationalization or global competitiveness. BSU has to be a university that is felt on the entire globe. We have a champion for this. I prefer to work with champions alongside the other structures of the university. Deans, heads of departments, and those who make up the top management. Those have defined roles. But for each of these, I actually have champions, and I'm going to be presenting champions to you here. So there's a champion for transformative education. There's a champion for campus beautification. There's a champion for digital transformation. We have champions for each of these. We want to have a situation where a student we will not complete Bishop Stewart University without doing at least one semester, preferably outside, in another university outside the country. And those who really can't make it in another country, in another university within a different region in this country. And we are working out arrangements to ensure that this is done. And we'll be having training programs, our students with students in different parts of the world. To achieve this, we need to use our resources well, efficiently. So institutional sustainability is very key. I like efficiency and sustainability because I have worked previously with somebody who does them very well. In our midst, there is Mr. David Mutavanra. I worked with him at Cavendish. I think you can stand up for recognition. I worked with him. I was the vice chancellor, and he supported me as executive director. And we agreed that I focus on quality and effectiveness, while he focuses on sustainability and efficiency. In the end, I think this separation of duties stopped, and each one was doing the other. He was focusing on quality, and I was because we did the work so well and supported one another so well that in the end, everyone was good at everything. Thank you for supporting me. So institutional sustainability is very key, and we have a champion for that, and that is enabling us to save resources, to identify areas of wastage, and to focus resources where they will give us the maximum value. The other one is enhancement of staff, welfare, and productivity. You need the staff to be committed. You need them to be developed. You need them to have a good welfare, to have very good welfare, and we'll take care of that. There is promotion of students, campus experience, good campus experience and talent development. There is promotion of spiritual growth, and then the last one is about governance. And so let's move very far. Let's just continue moving, because I have just touched on all of those. Continue moving. Continue moving. So, as I come to a close, I want to talk about a few changes that we are trying to do. Those who get the copies of the strategic plan, BSU has very good infrastructure, by the way. You will find some of the part of the infrastructure there. Very nice buildings, Faculty of Health Sciences, business faculty, education faculty. You know, we have a new structure for science lab that is coming up, a very state-of-the-art library. So we have very good infrastructure. Now, some other infrastructure that is very visible when you get to the main campus, it needs a lot of improvement. This is the office of the Vice Chancellor. It's where I sit. In the short run, and short run I mean only next year, because 2027 will be celebrating a silver jubilee, and our campus should be different by that time. So this is quite an ambitious plan. I tell my colleagues that I'm on a very high speed, so if you stand on my way, I can knock you down. Because the speed is very high. But we are all running, and so they are probably going to knock me down, actually, because they are running faster than me. We are going to change this to that one by June next year. Continue. These are the different views of the office. Now, next is the building that has been at the Faculty of Law for quite a long time. We have started working on this, by the way. It has now changed. And right now, mooting is happening there. It's improved. But it's going to be like this before we celebrate the Silver Jubilee. And then eventually, about the 5th year, 7th year of the strategic plan, I asked somebody to give me this with about 5 levels, but this is what they made. But we'll have about 5 levels, and that's what we'll be having. This building, thanks to the Chancellor for lobbying, this building is funded by His Excellency the President, and it's a modern science laboratory building. And this photo was taken yesterday evening, this one. So you can actually see that even the road going there is being paved, and we will pave all around it. We will be hosting bishops from Western Uganda and their spouses, those serving and those who retired. And my chancellor warned me that some of my brother bishops are elderly and will not go to the library building, which is very nice and where you usually take us. So get where they will go. So we are trying to make sure that we will have made this one ready by 10th of next month to be able to have there the meeting of the bishops and their spouses. And we'll try to achieve that. Now, this is the graduate school and US building that I found in place, this one. That's another face of it, but now it has changed. Now what is there is actually that one. Those who were there in the recent past, you have seen that we have already achieved that. And opposite that is another building, which is Faculty of Agriculture, Environmental Science and Technology, and we are going to have this one that you are actually seeing. All these are in the short term. When we are celebrating Silver Jubilee, this would be the face of the university. And now we also have, that is the main hall. That is the main hall of Bishop Stewart University, but it's also going to be upgraded. That's what we will have, and another face of it is that one. These are going to be done before we celebrate the Silver Jubilee in 2027. It's quite a big job that we have. It is very doable, my Lord Bishop, and we'll present it to you. Now, finally, we got a developer, an investor, a development partner to use his money and put up hostels for us. Bishop Stewart University does not accommodate students who want to start accommodating them. And we have finalized everything. There are a few technical things being worked on, but we signed the contract and everything is finished almost. We project that in January they will be doing the groundbreaking. And this is how the hostels have been designed. They are going to look like this. We are going to have 4 of them at the main campus, 2 to accommodate the females and 2 to accommodate the males, and we'll have 1 at the Faculty of Health Sciences. At the Faculty of Law, we are saying that initially they can come from the main campus, but actually the plan is to ask these same investors to work with the church and complete the building, which is just close to the Faculty of Law, which belongs to which is the pension house of Ankoria Diocese. And we believe that if they do that, they complete that one, then the students of the Faculty of Law will actually stay there, and they will be the nearest to their campus than all other students, because even those at the main campus, the main campus is very big. They will be walking some good distance to go to their lecture rooms, but those ones will be the closest. So what we call Cambridgeization at BSU is a move to excellence, really. Part of it is pavization. We are paving all the roads. It is tileization. We are remodeling and re-roofing all buildings with clear tiles. It is solarization. We are going to install solar power on each and every building that we remodel and complete. It is digitization, because that's where we are moving. It is Even waterization, because we are going to drill our own water. We have done all the inspection, the surveillance. This is what is actually happening at BSU. To achieve this, we need the support of each and every person. We have a very good financing strategy. We have to put it in action. But we are going to do this. This is all doable. We have sat down as management team. We have convinced council, and the council has given us more support. I want to commend to you the council that you gave us as the governing council, my Lord Bishop and Chancellor. They have given us a lot of support. So they are running with us, and we are sure that we will get there. Now, having said that, I want to get the copy of the strategic plan to invite the chair of council, because I will hand him the copy of the strategic plan. And I will leave the rest to him. I thank you, and may God bless you. I am called Professor John Muchad because there are new people here. I'm the Vice Chancellor of Bishop Stewart University. I'm a Professor of Public Health. So I want to hand over what you asked us to compile after you approved all the ideas. We are presenting this to you.
Start where he stopped. I'm Kenneth Kagame, a retired professor of medicine, currently unemployed. And I do odd jobs. My Lord Bishop, the Chancellor of Ankole Diocese, the Right Reverend Associate Professor Fredson Mwesigwa, the Vice Chancellor, the council members, and among the council members, specifically recognize the Right Honorable Francis Butajira, who is our legal advisor, and Honorable Professor Ephraim Kamuntu, my former house captain at Ntare School, 1967. You can't go wrong with such a team. You have listened to the Vice Chancellor. He talked about Cambridgeization and described the journey. You all agree with me that it's a long journey. It may have corners, sharp corners. It may have potholes, it may have humps. But what we are presenting today are the road signs and very competent drivers led by the Vice Chancellor and his team. This morning we talked about how we recruited the right person for him as a university secretary. I don't know where he is. Mr. Navasa. Those two guys are very good drivers. They are very, very fast. And when you drive very fast, the chances of overturning are very high, unless you have got a very good roadmap. And we trust that what we are giving them today is a very good roadmap that should deliver them. They describe the road to Cambridgeization. Cambridge is not very near, but given those drivers and those tools, we are very sure we shall arrive there. We are delivering a 10-year strategic plan, a 10-year plan which will be delivered in phases. We believe that the council is competent enough to direct the university in the right direction so that we reach there. We want, after 10 years, to say loud and clear that we have run the full race. We have kept our promise. And what awaits us is Cambridge, which the Chancellor will give us at that time. My humble duty is to invite our Chancellor and hand over to him the strategic plan. To him, because as the chairman of the trustees, it is his university. So, sir, may I invite you to come and receive the product of the governance and management. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, in your respective capacities, and in particular, the Bishop Stewart University team, led by trustees. The trustees, can you stand up, please? Trustees, if you know yourselves, yes. Those are the church representatives. Ambassador Butajira, you should be, oh, you are many things, you know. Okay, you are many things. But the dear wife should be on that trustees committee, but she's not doing as well. The trustees, the chair of University Council, Professor Kagame, who has been introduced to us. The distinguished members of Bishop Stewart University Council. Now, we are dealing with the best of the best. When I was seated there, I was wondering now, is the BSU best of the best, or Untare is the one which is best of the best? Perhaps that will be a discussion tonight. I'm not sure. We have a council which has the best of the best. Do you know it includes people like Professor Kamuntu, Ambassador Extraordinary Plenipotential? Do you know it includes people like Dr. Bitecherezo, Honorable Chairperson of NDA? Do you know it includes people like Professor Sabiti, Senior OB of Untare? The Untares are very many. I think Bitecherezo must be squeezed in between. He's a chairman, you know? He's squeezed, really. The council has people like Madame Karen Kaveho. She's an inspector of schools and the head of all inspectors of schools in Uganda. Best of the best, you see? The council has people that like Dr. Charity Mwebesa. That one is a new arrival. I think she had her first. Yes. From Chivura, best of the best. Yes. She's a PhD. She's a senior, what do they call her? Special presidential assistant, something on economics, KMU, from Chivura. Best of the best. Now, what do you do if you have someone like that? You have to put her there. In council, we have Venerable Chizinduka from Nombe. He's an archdeacon, but he was the one in charge of education for the diocese for about 10 years. When you hear the performances in our schools, he was there. Then Reverend Agasha Cannon came in, best of the best. His schools are best of the best because this year, 5 of our schools in Ankole Diocese were awarded at the province, and there is no diocese that had 5 schools being awarded on secondary, A-level and O-level. Who else have I forgotten on the level of the council? Eric Noel, principal of Uganda Bible Institute. Best of the best. That one is also turned around Uganda Bible Institute in like these kind of things. So everywhere there is best of the best. Let me be fast. We have diocesan staff, Bob's, stand up, trustee anyway, and Reverend Abasa, also best of the best. He's an entire school guy. Yes. But also he went to Mbara High School. Yes, 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 yes. Very interesting. So members, let me try to be quick so that we have another program. The rest we welcome you and we address you in a special way, and at an appropriate time we shall recognize you. Today we celebrate yet another milestone, the launch of Bishop Stewart University, a future-focused institution. I'm not going to go into details. How do you speak after Professor Mujisha with his rapping, and then you start explaining things he has explained? It is not necessary, really. He has done justice to the issues of globalization, digitization, paverization, waterization. So I will not go deep into that. But we are glad, like Professor Kagame has said, that we were able to get him on board from Cavendish. Those who don't know Cavendish, it is one of the most successful private universities, and the way it runs, yes, the way it runs is in executive fashion. So when he comes to us from that background, we are lucky. And the way we got him is a story to tell for another day. Yeah, because not many Ugandans can be offered money and they choose to leave money and go for principal. Because we had earmarked him a year before. When he said he's leaving Cavendish, they said, can we make you a shareholder even? He said, no, I committed myself to go to BSU. Do we still have as many Ugandans as those? We do, we do. So we thank God. Let me go to the conclusion. Let me do some appreciation. I would like to appreciate, which has been mentioned, His Excellency, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, for granting BSU a charter. Some of you don't know what a charter is, but a charter, to get it. And I was blessed to have gotten it around, which year, Honorable, 2014. I became a bishop, 2010. 2014, we got the charter. Praise the Lord. And we thank God that that time when we had Colonel Edith Nakarima, my Chivura girl, she organized for us, and the president visited us after 2011 elections, and he was very excited, very happy. Yeah, and he promised to do public-private partnership. So offered us 7.5 billion, and so that building is going to be launched on, going to be opened officially on 25th of October, just in a week's time. We want to also appreciate Her Excellency Major Retired Jessica Lupo. At that time, she was the Minister for Education, and she was very, very supportive. And at that time, Honorable Bitecherezo was the MP, the one who came with the charter all the way to Mbarara. And at that time, Professor Sabiti was the chair of council, and we thank God for that. We want to appreciate the founding Chancellor, Bishop Elisha Chamugambi. Pass on our greetings to him for laying the enduring foundation of faith and academic excellence. The former Vice Chancellors, and most heartily the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Mujisha, you are appreciated. The entire team you work with, BSU staff, please stand up. All staff, BSU. Yeah, we have a good number here. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, including Professor Kasozi, whom I poached from UCU at some point. I met him near the chapel and told him that let's go to Ankole. Up to now, he's still there. He's one of those other Ugandans. There are many Ugandans who are very... When we were at UCU, people used to say that I work very hard. I cannot reach that level of that man, Kasozi. No. And then lately, he is exceptional, and time and commitment, amazing. We have Ugandans, I'm happy, who are ready to work. Conclusion. The strategic plan embodies our collective resolve to deliver inclusive education, foster innovation, and strengthen global competitiveness. It is not just a plan, it is our covenant with the future. After all, if you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And if you don't know where you are going, any road can lead you there. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting BSU and also honoring our invitation, and also for the book launch, which is about to start. So I take this opportunity to launch the 10-year strategic plan of BSU 2025-26 to 2034-35, a decade of transformation in academic delivery, infrastructure development, community engagement, research, innovations, and global competitiveness. In the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Where is fireworks? Okay, we didn't work on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear Chancellor. The fireworks, please hold the bottle next to you and let's lift it up for BSU. Just the bottles next to you, and give a cheers to any. So cheers to Bishop Stewart University. Thank you so much. And the Chancellor does the signing, and after the Chancellor, we shall have the Chair Council. Kwendiga Yesu Musa gunaziziza twebaza Yesu. We shall have the Board of Trustees affirm that this is a journey for the next 10 years. We shall have the council members affirm that this is a journey for the next 10 years. University. And that marks the end of Bishop Stewart University Strategic Plan Launch 2025-2026 to 2034-2035. Allow me welcome Simon to take us through the best of the best. Simon, please.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Distinguished personalities, all of you in your respective capacities, most welcome to this second part of today's event. And no further ado in as far as introducing what the event is. It is simply the launch of an incredible book titled Best of the Best. And the title of the book is not just the wording, but as we'll go along today, you recognize that in fact, those who coined the title were being a bit modest with regard to how much this book contains. And so, as I have been halfly introduced, my name is Kasiate, Simon Kasiate, and I have the honor to be the Master of Ceremony or part of the Masters of Ceremony for this event, and also, without a fear of contradiction or any feel of shame, an old boy of Ontario School. I am not very sure that that's the deserving kind of applause I expected, especially from older folk. I need the competition to come from the younger folk here. Aha, thank you very much, Professor Kamuntu, and all the others. Distinguished OBs and all our guests in your respective capacities, you will allow me start today's event by leaning on not just the protocols as had earlier been done by our sister institution, the Bishop Stewart University, but I guess it also follows that we can go along with the prayers said for the success of the previous event to also come and bestow the same blessings to this event that we are going to start right away. And so, I will take you very quickly through what the program looks like. It's a very brief one, but action-packed. We will be hearing a couple of remarks, and these remarks are going to come from distinguished folk. And one of them will be from, now you'll pardon me for a bit of a stutter. I am not normally with nerves when I am officiating at public events, but bear with me if you are in the presence of not just your teacher, of your deputy headmaster, and then the headmaster of yourself at a time when you were in your formative years. So I am a bit nervous because of you, especially Mr. Stephen Kamhanda, the transformative headmaster when I was at Ontario School. And interestingly, coincidentally, he was at the time deputized by my Lord Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa. And for my history lessons, I was being taught by no less than Bishop Sheldon's dear wife, Mama Alice. Whatever goes wrong with my English tonight, please blame it on my teacher. And my teacher of English, gladly, is Bishop Sheldon as well. Don't celebrate too early my English. Sometimes it gets a way of disappearing thanks to the teacher. And so, even more for my nerves, I'm trying to set the stage right. While at Ontario School, a distinguished old boy had taken it upon himself to pay my school fees, and he did from senior 1 until I finished. So he happens to be in the audience. Honorable Hindi, please stand up. Not just the fees, including the pocket money, where if he reads my article in the book, he will understand partly how I spent the pocket money, and I must admit it was not in the school canteen. That said, When you look around the room, when you are done with the fear of authority in school and you have grown and become an adult, you now begin to face the state. And so whatever wrong you do, you're not punished by the school disciplinary council, but you may start from the basic institution of the state, which is the police, up the line until, if it's such a heinous crime, you end up in courts of law and then end up in jail. But in all that, the state has a government around it. So when I look around the room and I see Prime Minister Emeritus, Right Honorable Amama Mbabazi, the nerves even get worse. We welcome you, sir. And from the look of the establishment of protocol and the setup, looks like Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus Amama Mbabazi is the proverbial John the Baptist, who is just going to baptize us now with a bit of water, but later someone will come who may do it with the fire and the Holy Spirit. So later on the nerves will get worse when we have a more distinguished representative of government and in no less a personality than the Vice President of the Republic. So please, you will bear with us. I normally tell guests that you make a decision on whether or not to clap, and I suspect that we should clap for the guests here to come. And so, as we wait for the guest of honor to arrive, I want to, in a very special way, inform you that of the thousands that have gone through Ntare School, it must obviously be a very daunting task by organizers of any event around Ntare School, one, to pick a guest of honor, because almost every old boy is distinguished in their own capacity. It must be a very daunting task for organizers to pick a master of ceremony, because everyone from Ntare School is eloquent, sharp, concise, and precise. That I was chosen to be part of the MCs, I take it not for granted. And so you will allow me invite, at this moment, a more deserving master of ceremony who is going to take us through this first part of the event, and he's none other than Mr. Collins Babirukamu, who is, wait for it, before the drum rolls. You can hear the kabozi of Professor Kamuntu, it never stops. Collins Babirukamu may not necessarily ride on his father's name at the moment. He's a man in his own distinguished right, a director with the Bank of Uganda, and that explains why he has been a little bit late. He should have been here earlier, but counting of money is no mean task, and I believe now he's ready to come and take us through. So Colin, I welcome you to the dais to begin this event in earnest. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I truly want to apologize. I don't want to blame it on the central bank, but I was on my way here, and I'm glad that I made it. And I've been ambushed quickly by Simon before I can catch my breath, but I think Ntare Lions should be ready at all times. So allow me to roar and carry on. I'm also excited as Professor Kamuntu, and I can see that table there. Indeed, my father was in the first cohorts of Ntare School. Okay. In the first cohorts of Ntare School in the 50s, the late Eric Babirukamu. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to be upstanding. Allow us to be upstanding as we receive our chief guest. Your Excellency, you are welcome. You're welcome. Can we just clap for Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, retired Major Jessica Alupo. And there's a wonderful embrace. Please clap to that. Comrades together. And we're really grateful. We shall remain standing at this point for the national anthems. Thank you. Thank you very much. We may take our seats and thank you. Thank you, thank you. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, retired Major Jessica Alupo, we welcome you. Can we just welcome her one more time? Thank you for making time your busy schedule to be our chief guest today in this very, very key, important milestone. But allow me to also, once again, just welcome and acknowledge our guest of honor also, the Honorable and Prime Minister Emeritus Amama Mbabazi. Let's just welcome him one more time. Thank you, thank you. And of course, the reason that we're here today is Right Reverend Doctor and Associate Professor Mwesije. We really want to welcome you here, and your dear wife, Dr. Alice. Can we just clap for this wonderful couple? And Bishop, of course, is the author and the reason that we're here this evening. And when I look around, of course, I see very many distinguished guests who are here today. I see old boys, I see professors, and all of you in your great capacities here. I am sure that my more experienced co-MC, Simon, has ably introduced all of you. So would like to welcome all of you. So today we are extremely, extremely honored to be here at this book launch. As you have seen, the best of the best made in Intare School. Please clap for that. You can hear the lions roaring. And the best of the best. And I was honored to be in Intare School. My name is Colin Babirukamo, and I'm a public servant with the Bank of Uganda. I work as Executive Director of IT for the Bank of Uganda, and I am Intare School old boy. I am made in Intare School, and I was there from 91 to 96, and in those last 2 years, Bishop Sheldon was my deputy headmaster, but he was also the chaplain, and I was like the altar boy. In the Anglicans, there's no altar boy, but the ones who hold the Bible and who keep the wine at the end. So he always gave me the balance of the wine, and I covered. I'm glad I didn't turn out differently, but we're here right now, and this is my teacher. When he calls, I answer, I stand up, and I come running. So I am glad that we're here for this wonderful book launch, Best of the Best, made in Intare School. But allow me at this point, without further ado, to get right to the program. And I must say that joining Intare School completely turned around, because I was there before and after a particular transition phase that you'll be hearing about this evening. And no other person could ably have give us opening remarks at this point, um, like, um, like Mr. Stephen Kamhanda. Mr. Stephen Kamhanda was my headmaster, and he oversaw a transition, a complete transition, and the story will be told this evening. And he was the headmaster and the coach, as the Bishop Sheldon calls him, the coach in the book. And Bishop Sheldon and Mr. Muika were deputy coaches. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, and the program will be running throughout the evening, we look forward to a panel discussion. We also look forward to hearing from the people, the guests who are here. We have books, of course, that we shall be explaining to you as they go around, that are on sale. It's a very important day. And we'll be hearing, of course, from our guest of honor and our chief guest and the author. So without further ado, allow me to invite my headmaster, who we can say for Ontare School, there was a before Mr. Kamhanda era and an after Kamhanda era. Mr. Kamhanda, I would like to request that you come and give us opening remarks as we set off. Please put your hands together for my headmaster.
Thank you, Colin. Your Excellency, the Vice President. I'm not used to protocol, but I see so many people here distinguished. So I would like to say, Your Excellency, and all the distinguished people I see present. Bishop Mwesugwa, your wife, and I think I leave it at that. I will make mistakes, I'm sure. Yeah, I ask you to forgive me for that. My name is Stephen Kamhanda. I was the headmaster in Ontare School from 1991 to 2003. It was a great honor for me to head Ontare School, because that time was soon after the Liberation War of 1986. And everything was chaotic. And when I was told by my dear friend and classmate, Honorable Manyamshega, retired colonel, that I was to go to Ontare School, I got very worried. I knew very well, Honorable Manyamshega knew me very well. So what could I do? I tried to refuse. But it was not possible to refuse. I attempted to go. I didn't know what was going to happen. What happened at Ontare School was nothing short of God's miracle. Things changed. And I'm excited that Bishop Mwesugwa has continued to be what he is now and to do what he has done. I didn't know Bishop Mwesugwa, but I was introduced to him by a reverend, a close friend of his, Reverend Aaron Mwesigi. Stand up. This is the man who called me and said, get Reverend Mwesugwa from Chivura Girls. Miracles happened, and Bishop Mwesugwa came. So many things have happened, but I do thank God that Ontare has become what it has become. It is a wonderful thing. I am tempted also to, I call them Batawani, the old boys, Batawani, my sons. Babirkam is one of them, and Kasiate is another, and I see so many of them. I am happy to see you around. Kashirinji. Kashirinji, you are welcome also. So many. I shouldn't mention names because I will make mistakes again. I don't want to make mistakes. But I would like to pay special tribute to Bishop Mwesugwa. He came to Ntare School in 1995, beginning of 1995, January. And he has remained part of Ntare School up to this day by even writing this book, which tells a lot about Ntare. I'm happy to see Professor Kamuntu also. He remained there, ever signing, ever shouting to us about Ntare. Which Paula, you are welcome. I don't know if I should say more than that, but I would like to pay special tribute to Bishop Mwesugwa, who has done so much for Ntare School to the extent that he has written this book, which I am sure you will hear a lot about. I think I should stop there. Yeah. You are almost welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for that standing ovation for Mr. Stephen Kamhanda, a very courageous headmaster who joined from King's College Budo at the time and took over the reins of Ntare School in 1991, which was literally at the end of my first year. Now I must confess that I'm part of the 1994 class, which you may have heard about or read about. It gave Mr. Kamhanda and Bishop Sheldon a bit of a headache. And so a few who were allowed to come back for A-level. The whole cohort did not come back. And Mr. Kamhanda was doing transformation and change. And so a few of us came back to A-level. So the more polished people came in, people like Hussein Kashirinji came in to help dilute the trouble. And he later became the deputy head boy. So he was my boss. So please also acknowledge Hussein Kashirinji, who is here right now. So thank you again, Mr. Stephen Kamhanda. Thank you for your courageous reign there. So with those few remarks that he's given, I would like us to switch quickly to a panel discussion. Allow me to welcome my brother Simon Kasiate around again, who will get us on the panel. The panel is the gist, part of the gist of the evening. You will hear from the panelists, and then thereafter we'll hear from the author himself. So allow me to then now welcome Simon. Simon, would you like to come and take charge of your panel? Thank you.
Now you are at liberty to make comparisons with regard to how these two parts of the program are going to be run. But I must tell you, every part of the program is designed to be different. Your Excellency, the Vice President, again, allow me to ride on the welcoming remarks that have been shared in welcoming you with your honor. Thank you for gracing Ntare School. Ntare School has produced various caliber of folk. The only type of person Ntare School has not produced is a lady, because it's predominantly a boys' school and it remains as such. So we are honored that, number one, we have the Vice President of the Republic, a lady, being the guest of honor tonight, the chief guest. More distinguished OBs with perhaps more influence than myself may pass a motion to bring you on board as an old boy of Ntare School, depending on how they feel, which I suspect is they may enroll you. So brace yourself for that, Your Excellency. Because after all, anyway, it's the only school that we know, at least in living memory, that has produced two sitting presidents of two republics in a continent called Africa happening at the same time. And we are not talking about presidents of Rotary clubs, please. We are talking about presidents of republics. And for that, I think it's important to protect that kind of gain. Allow me, without further ado, invite the panelists to take center stage, and I will tell you why they are going to be on the stage. Let's start with the fun part of it. So we don't only produce presidents to rule over countries, but we also produce incredible entertainers to keep us in check with our emotions. So, for those in our generation, not the other one of Honorable Kamuntu, allow me invite Alan Tonix. Alan Tonix, please take the stage. An old boy of Ontario School, but an incredible entertainer. And he will show you just what he's made of. When I joined Ontario School, Your Excellency, I found a type of people I never imagined would be in school as students. There were some with the physique of my parents, and the sight of them in shorts was such a scaring one for a young child as I was. But there they were as students, and they had seen the better part of life, some of them suffering mild symptoms of what you may describe as post-traumatic stress disorder for what they had done before they joined Ontario School. I am not saying they still suffer the same, but allow me invite Major Awich Paula. I found Awich Paula in Ontario School at the rank of captain, and he was a student in the school. And there were many like him in school uniform, but during the holidays, I'm sure they wore their military fatigues and did their work in the profession which you know very well, Your Excellency. We have produced several other professions. And as we were growing up, we were told the major ones to have either a doctor or an engineer. So we thought this panel should have an engineer or a doctor. And so we chose Dr. Aroho Amon. Dr. Aroho, are you already with us? Thank you very much. In case you need your life saved, that's the man. Oh, I didn't tell you, Awich Paula is not a soldier person. He's retired, but he's a lawyer. And so, depending on which problem in your life you want solved, if you want a medical one, Dr. Aroho, you are facing crime, Awich Paula, and if you feel sad and need some entertainment, Alan Tonix certainly will have you covered. Now, while putting this panel together, we had to make a choice. Do we keep it the proverbial manual, that panel that is all male field? We believed we needed to pepper it up with a lady. But here is the dilemma. The school never produced a lady, old boy, or call them old girl. But we recognize the fact that making the best of the best was not a job of male teachers. There were some incredible female teachers that indeed shaped our lives. And so we chose that on the panel, we will find one of our female teachers to join the panel and share with us what it felt like as a woman raising boys, the type that were at Ontario School. So we now had to throw the die. Which lady comes to the panel? Any prizes for guessing? We needed a lady that would have divine protection, so I think the best choice would have been and is none other than Mama Alice Mwesigwa. And as she comes to the dice, I will tell you my personal experience with her, that I can recite the migration of the Ngoni from below the river Limpopo up to where they finally settled, thanks to her. And some of us were a different genre of students. We had joined Ontario School a little bit spoiled by our parents, and we did not quite understand the local language. And yet we found folk there who made it a point, from a Pan-African point of view, not to speak English, and yet the examinations were in English. So oftentimes, I know some OBs who never spoke a single word in English, including responding to the roll call in class, where they call you, Simon Kasiate, and you answer, Ndiaha master. So the only English word is in master. So Madame Alice here would have the displeasure of having to explain some of these complex migrations in Runyankore. Bakambuko mujera, bashuma. But the instruction of the exam was always in English. Before I invite them to speak, I also must say, Mama Alice was not the lady you see here today. She was in her very formative years, newly married. I must admit, in the 3 years I saw her as my teacher, she gave birth thrice. What's even more captivating is that all the children that I saw her carrying while she was my teacher are here as adults, and some of them are now parents. Please, Sheba and Siobhan, stand up. They need to look at you so they can confirm I am not lying. Your Excellency, I have done that really not to be a nuisance, but just to give you an indication of how old I am myself. I am not a young man. So that said, I will start with you, Mama Alice, to kick off the panel. And someone help me give them the microphone. Colin. Good. So, Mama Alice, you are teaching and standing before a bunch of obstinate students who were incredibly gifted in very many ways, including myself, worse than how I am today. So I imagine what the dinner table conversation you would have at the end of the day with your dear husband, who acted as your husband, a deputy headmaster, head of disciplinary committee, and you are a teacher, a young lady, drop-dead gorgeous, but in a class of boys that some of whom you were not sure would ever turn out. And at one time, did you ever think for a moment that if boys are going to be like the ones I am teaching, maybe then he was Reverend. Maybe Reverend and I should not have children, because if they end up like this, we are not so sure what kind of teachers they will find to shape them. Your experience about Ntare School, maybe in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kasiati, my son, chief guest and a guest of honor, my dear husband, protocol observed in the interest of time. My name is Alice Mwesigo, as you've heard, and a teacher by profession. I've been teaching for the last 33 years, and I'm still teaching, but currently teaching at Mbara University of Science and Technology. I want to welcome you all and to thank you, Kathiat, for that question. And what gives me joy is seeing you as my student, and all of you, including Doctor and all these that you see here. I'm glad to meet you, because I've already said it's a joy. This is the joy of a teacher. Seeing someone you taught coming up and he's a big man, and that's what I used to tell you in class. To me, that was my best satisfaction, and thank you for doing it. Of course, it was not easy joining Ntare School, especially stepping in a class and you find people like Kasiati Simon. Not the easiest. And I had experience of teaching girls. I was from Chivura Girls, and I was stepping in and all these boys looked at you. And as he said, I entered when I was in a different form. So it's like they saw I was a cartoon or something. They all looked at me, it's like it was a film. And whoever headed that, it was none other than Kasiati Simon. So it actually scared me, but at the end of the day, I realized the boys are so good. Yes. And I think that was my first explanation and talk to my husband, because when they saw me, I think I was heavy, like my daughter is, quickly they gave me a chair. They said, you need to sit down because you seem a bit big. And Kasiati pulled out the chair. The rest looked at me, he stood, pulled out the chair, and he said, I think you need a rest. Seems both of you are tired. And you can imagine starting from that point, and I say, how do I even take a Rorokoro? I was a bit, shaking, but as a teacher, I gathered the courage, so it was not easy. But at the end of the day, in brief, I think it is lovely to teach boys, maybe when you are of a different sex, because I had experience in Chivura girls, when girls look at you, it's like you are competing for what I don't know, but for boys, they give respect to ladies. So yeah, that one I saw it. So for the 12 years I spent at Intale, I think I had the best time with boys. I earned the respect. So that, of course, summarizes what I would share with my husband as the deputy about you. To the extent that one time they would say, because Mr. Kamhanda forgot to recognize you, he would tell us, of course, when I'm heavy, sometimes you fail to show up, whatever, but I say I will catch up during prep time. And Kasiati offered, together, I think, with Professor Ngonzi, I don't know who else, Engineer Kelonga, Arnold. They say, we'll always come to your house. They would come, knock, and they say, Reverend, we have come for our teacher. At night, during prep, they escort me from home. We go to class. I teach. They again take me back, and they knock, and they say, Reverend, we have brought our teacher. I think those are wonderful memories. So thank you. Although he was a bit, talkative, the way you see him, and he would poke on this one, and all in the lesson you would not miss saying, Kasiat, stop that. Kasiat, wait. And every person would report about Kasiat Simon. But I want to thank you for the man that you have turned out to be. And I think this was the same story to all the young, including him. And interestingly, a good number, they are now my boss, like the Dean of Medicine at Mass, who were together in class, Professor Joseph, I don't know whether he's here, who was my student, and very many. And later, when Mr. Kashirinji came in as a deputy, he was a no-nonsense person, So sometimes he would report these cheeky ones to him, and he's a very tough man. But I want to thank God for you. So my experience, I must say, was so good. And I love working with boys, because to me, there is a way how they respect ladies. Thank you very much.
So, I have been in the business of blowing my own trumpet. I think now it has been blown away from me. I now feel guilty. When they talk about you before the number 2 citizen of the country, I don't know how safe I am after here. Pray for me. But 2 things come to mind. Number 1, from your experience having seen you pregnant and working in class, what I personally learned was never to stand in the way of especially my wife in her career path of growth and development. But also, I have learned to trust those with whom my wife works with her, because, again, Bishop trusted us with you, and you have said would come and pick you from home. I guess one of the reasons why he quickly trusted us was, 1, you were pregnant, so it couldn't have been worse. What else could have happened worse? But don't make no mistake. We were little boys. We were 14, 15 years. So clearly we were that cheeky. But most importantly, we are glad that that dinner table conversation took the form it did, as opposed to otherwise. Because, again, before I invite the other, today is just for storytelling. This gentleman, Mr. Kamhanda, with whom I have tremendous respect, in my senior 4 at the end of my mocks, I don't know whether I should say this story because now Honorable Hind is here. Mr. Kamhanda and a panel of other distinguished members of management made a decision on the last day of school to expel me. I had had a serious altercation that had taken the form of physical with one of my teachers. And the decision was made to expel me. Now I know why I survived, because in that room was Reverend Sheldon, as we knew him then. And I can imagine the bias he had was from what his dear wife was telling him about me at home. Because when the verdict was supposed to be read, because I was sentenced in absentia, not given a chance to defend myself, and then I put up my hand quickly. You remember that. Because what scared me, when I entered the office after being summoned, Mr. Kamahanda picked the intercom and called his secretary. Deborah, expulsion letter ya Kasiate ya huire. As in, my stomach fell to the ground, my jaw dropped, my life flashed in front of me, so I started imagining the pair of my mother who was so nonsense, and my benefactors beating the living lights out of me. And I said, Mr. Headmaster, you have been preaching that the tenets of natural justice are that before you pass any sentence upon anyone, they must be given a fair hearing. Why am I being expelled before you hear my side of the story? And you could hear a pin drop. Everyone looked at me. Reverend Sheldon, deputy headmaster, who I think was heading the disciplinary committee, the chaplain, no less, winked at me and said, continue with your presentation. And I made what a case. I said, here you are, Mr. Headmaster and members, terminating and extinguishing a glowing splint of a light of an incredible man. And yet you are doing so without hearing from them. Okay, if you won't hear what I have to say, please take a look at my report. We are just done mocks, and I knew what was on the report. Cut the long story short, the report wasn't bad either. It had 6 on 6, 8 on 8, 11 on 11. Now, don't ask me what became of me later. I'm not as brilliant as I used to be, but at least I can moderate a panel. That said, so Alan, when people are talking about Ntare School old boys, they are normally speaking in the ranks of President Museveni, President Kagame, Dr. Ngonzi, engineer so-and-so, distinguished that, the other, and all. Few times do they ever try to make mention of a very important genre of professions, which I must admit in earlier years, if I told Honorable Hindi there, you know, thanks for your school fees, but I intend to be a musician, I do not know whether I would have left with the right chick. How did it feel for you going into Ntare School, coming out of that place, and now ending up as an incredible entertainer, and yet very proud to associate with a school that seems to glorify other professions as opposed to yours?
Yes, thank you for the question, Mr. Kasiate. First of all, I'd like to thank the good bishop for the opportunity. I'm really honored to be here amongst OBs, and of course I recognize our former headmaster. I was at Ntare during the late Ahimbisiwe Humphrey's time there. May his soul rest in peace. So a lot of the distinguished gentlemen they've been introducing, I only know them by name. I wasn't actually there with them. But of course, Mr. Kamhanda, your name is very resounding among all the OBs. And of course, you had been a headmaster at King's College, which is where I was before I came to Ntare for A-level. Mr. Kasiate, your question is interesting. My name is Alan Ampeire, but most people know me as Alan Tonics. Yes, yeah, and I am an artist and entertainer, and also an OB of Ntare School. Yes, and I'm glad to be here. Mr. Kasiate's question is an interesting one. I must say that while I was at Ntare School, I did not think that I was going to be a musician. Yes, and while I was at King's College, I did not think I was going to be a musician. Just like you've talked about our parents, I used to have this conversation with my parents. And my argument used to be, this was my extracurricular at the time. I'm sure we have a lot of soccer players who were so good in high school, he did not end up as on the national team, right? And that was my argument. And at the time, I felt like I didn't really, the entertainment scene in Uganda, like you say, for those of us at our age at that time, the kind of content we were consuming, it wasn't something you'd really think about now that you put it in retrospect. So it was not a planned thing from the start like a master plan. And of course, as you can imagine, the conversations I had with my parents, one of my conditions to keep doing my extracurricular activities was to make sure my grades are good. So the report card had to be there as a condition to keep doing what I'm doing. And so I must say one thing led to another. My experiences at Budo introduced me to the world of live music. They had a rich extracurricular in terms of music, like instruments and piano and guitar and all that kind of stuff. But Ntare was a whole other world. The contrast was beautiful, I must say. I feel like back at King's College, we were very, with the story, if I can piggyback to your story, the system was in such a way that it did not encourage independent thought in the way to, like the way you could challenge authority. And I found that at Ntare, which was a very different thing from what I knew.
I think Tonix is trying to say this, but diplomatically. He's saying in Budo, he learned music in the confines of the school. Then he goes to Ntare school and realizes he can practice music in school, outside school, and everywhere, because the boundary of the school was in his head.
Thank you. So yes, indeed. So while at Budo, I had to play guitar in the band room, in fellowship, praise and worship, and we do that kind of stuff. At Ntare, for the first time, I got to meet like a music producer who does stuff in church and produces songs for people. I had never gotten that chance. And see how he does things sort of in the real world. So I got a bit of a glimpse of real world scenarios and then got introduced to a whole other aspect. Got to know that, okay, what we've been doing is at production level, but now you meet people who are into the marketing side of things, the DJs, the people that own radio stations, the media. So it was a whole other side that I don't think if I hadn't had that exposure, it would have probably been a totally different trajectory. So just those 2 years, a lot happened and changed to expose me to a whole other side that had its influence.
Tremendous. I think it deserves a hand clap.
Thank you.
So Alan is simply telling you that at Ntare school, you build character. Right, Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus, what do you know me for? You know me as a journalist, not so? That's what you know me for. Your Excellency the Vice President, don't you know me for being a journalist? And every one of you knows me for being a journalist, right? Now I have news for you. Not once have I been to journalism school. Yeah. And I have 3 degrees. Not once. No, I have 3 degrees in other things. And not once have I been to a school of journalism. And that's all I have done professionally for the last 25 years. Now, where did that come from? That tells you what Ntare school does to you. Because Mama Alice just mentioned that I was as talkative as I am, perhaps worse. Even on days when I was absent and they were looking for those who made noise in class, my name would be on that list. So in school, if it was not Ntare, I would have been being punished for talking in class. But Ntare school, I think, knew that this man may end up making a living from talking. So all I do is talk and now I earn. So what I did as an extracurricular activity in school, talking, is now what is my profession. And yet I studied and I have degrees upon degrees. So much so that Bishop Sheldon here, before I invite the next panelist, I have to keep poking at you. I also decided to challenge myself and say, the next 2 years after the best 4 years of my life, let me try elsewhere. So I went to St. Mary's College, Kisubi, on merit. And I was admitted to study physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics. And therefore, with my D1s, all those were D1s. Bishop Sheldon here, 2 weeks into SMAC, the headmaster calls me and said, Mr. Kasiate, I have a note from your former teachers. He said, who? And what are they saying? They have written to us saying, you have killed this young man's future. He is a natural artist. Why have you given him sciences? And so the headmaster of SMAC was asking me to make a decision to respect the wishes of my former teachers and change from PCB math to HER-D, where I also had distinctions. And guess what I did? I disobeyed. Because my parents' picture of success was that they wanted to have bragging rights, talking amongst their olden folk and say, don't worry about the heart attack and these things that are affecting you. When you go to Molago, you'll find my son with a stethoscope around his neck. My son is going to be walking the corridors of Molago and he will sort you out. So I had gone to get a degree. I wanted to do a course for my parents. But while in SMAC, I was Minister of Information, reading News on Assembly every Monday. I was the editor of the school magazine. And, of course, everything else in as far as talking is concerned. Why? Because of the courage you got from Ontari School. So, Dr. Ruho, I think I've just set the stage for you to simply say, I know something about attempting to be a doctor, because eventually when I was admitted at the university, I was offered veterinary medicine. I had to make a quick decision. I love my meat. So I was imagining if you brought me your dearest cow, Mr. Kamahanda, to treat, there is no way that cow would have left my clinic alive. I would make sure it is on skewers. So professionally and ethically, I said I will not be in the habit of eating my patients. So I chose to study something else that I was comfortable with. Dr. Ruho, I'm not saying you eat your patients, but I'm sure you can share with us something about your journey from Ontari School to being not just a medical doctor, but a lawyer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon. Please allow me adopt the protocol earlier laid by the previous speakers. My name is Ruho Amon. I'm a dental surgeon, and I'm also an advocate of the High Court of Uganda.
Please, let's clap for him because...
I'm doing my PhD in medical law at the University of Pretoria, and I also serve with the African Commission Committee on Medical Law. I'm very happy to be here and very excited to meet, to have a conversation, especially on the title of the book, Best of the Best. And my story has a reflection on my Lord Bishop, because he had a lot of input in my decision to do PCB at Ontari School. When I joined Ontari School in 1996, I was welcomed by our deputy head teacher, my Lord Bishop, and then he told us, I was escorted by my father. He told us that, he asked me, what position did you used to get at school, at your former primary school? And then my father said I used to be the first. My Lord Bishop said, you should be prepared because every student admitted in S1 used to be the best in his former school. So at that point I knew it was not the primary school I was in, it was a challenge that I was undertaking. And then I knew I had to work extra harder, and then from then onward, I knew that to maintain the first position, I had to really do extra work. So thank you so much, my Lord Bishop. That helped me a lot to do extra work. And then the turning point was after Senior 4. I had been admitted to do PCB, and my parents were excited about it because I also had distinctions like Simon. But then I told my father I would like to be a lawyer. When we went to the deputy headmaster's office, that was my Lord Bishop, we had a conversation with him, and then he told me that if you do PCB, in the future you can still be a lawyer. But if you do LD, you can never be a doctor. I listened to what he told me. I studied PCB. From Tare, I did dentistry at Makerere, and then I practiced for only 3 years and retired from government service and went to law school and still went to Makerere to study law. But then I remembered if I had done LD, I would have been a lawyer, yes, but I would never have been a doctor. So I'm grateful, my Lord Bishop, for that wise guidance you gave me at that time. After my LLB, I did my master's in medical law, and then now I had to, how do I leverage on my medicine and law? So I did my master's in medical law. I'm doing my PhD, and of course I sit on the committee of experts of medical law. But I'm grateful to my Lord Bishop because you guided me so well. You gave me the wisdom and the confidence that I could be both a medical practitioner and a lawyer. Thank you.
So you see, while from other schools you can barely get enough knowledge and wisdom to do one course, from Muntare you could have the overdose of being in position to do 2 courses almost simultaneously and then turn out excellently. And make no mistake, Your Excellency, now is the time to be a little bit open with some of the closely kept secrets. Of course, when Mr. Kamhanda came to Ntare School and when we joined, the boundaries of the school were in your head. There was no physical boundary. So wherever you were and felt, you were at school. So I remember one time, we needed some entertainment, but we said we'll have it but remain in school. Guess where we went? We left Ntare School in Mbara and came to Nambole to watch Lucky Dube. And all the while we were not afraid that we were out of school. We were so at home that we enjoyed the show and went back to class 2 days later. It is also not strange to hear testimonies of old boys saying, in the evening, like any other working person, towards sunset, you stepped out to have a drink in the neighboring village, and oftentimes found teachers who taught you earlier in class, and the fraternization continued. But as they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. When you would meet the only person you'd be afraid of meeting, which was also a very unlikely event. What is the chance that you're going to meet Reverend Sheldon, as we know him, in Vision Empire in Baran? So we would walk in with our heads high and know that for sure there is no way you're going to meet Mr. Kamhanda somewhere in the nooks and corners of Mackenzie Street. Of course, Mr. Kamhanda ran a very deep intelligence network, one which also had some of the students that were ringleaders in that, and that's why he was managed to instill discipline and do some of the most unthinkable things at Ntare School, including erecting a barbed wire fence, which at the time looked as impervious as the walls around Robben Island prison. We didn't like the idea. But it was just barbed wire, 3 barbed wires, but we didn't like the idea. Now, the school has a wall fence. And the gate that opened sometimes. That time the gate was always open. Please mark you, there was no designated visitation day at Ntare School. Every day, any hour, day or night, you could be visited by a parent, a friend, girl or boy. But all this was done within the basic decorum, respect, and being a gentleman. And that's how now we bring in a witch polar. Other than which, I had the pleasure of having a man in my room, agri room, one called Sekade. He was in senior 4 with Collins Babilkam. I realized that every Sunday, someone came on a bicycle carrying a lady and they had something in a pillowcase. It turned out that the man riding the bicycle was Sekade's brother. The woman that would be on the bicycle carrier was Sekade's wife. And what they had as luggage was millet flour. So they visited him almost every Sunday. You know why? Because Sekade was an LC1 chairman on their village. And so they would bring the letters to sign and stamp, and Sekade had the stamp at entire school. So some of the students were running part of your broad-based government. From where you were up as prime ministers and all, and LC1 chairman. But we also had Captain Awichpola, who I'm sure, I am not so sure, but he may tell us today, whether he wasn't part-timingly commanding a platoon while he was a student at Ontari School. Over to you, Captain Awichpola.
Thank you so much.
Captain then, now retired major.
Thank you so much, Simon. Indeed, I'm major. The guest of honor, the chief guest and the guest of honor, I will rely on the protocol already observed. Indeed, if you made an error of omitting my major rank, that would be grave, because a major rank is so important and the chief guest is a major. So you can see the importance of the rank major, that the Vice President of the Republic is a major. I also want to make a disclaimer that there was freedom in the Ontari School, absolutely freedom. But there was something which we were not free to do. And it was so particular. And I shared this with a lawyer lady friend, that was prohibited or forbidden in Ontari. And they told me that it was the opposite in their school. Mr. Commander, we were free to do everything except cheating exams. Not even a school test. Not even a class test. I have known of students who were chased for cheating school test. Am I lying? The only thing we are free to do everything in entire school except cheating exams. And I told the lawyer friend in some school, I don't want to mention the name, she told me on the contrary, for them they are prohibited from doing everything except cheating. I said, really? I also want to make one comment in relation to Aro, in the decision to the multiplicity of professions. We also have an OB, Kwesiga. Kwesiga got a first class in engineering in Makerere and registered for law in Makerere and got a first class in law from Makerere University. Is that OB there? So you can
Peterson,
see,
where are you?
Yeah, you can see the multiplicity. 2 first-class degrees from the same university across a wide discipline. And he currently serves almost at the tip of the world. I have been there too. He is working at The Hague in international arbitration. So all the business or whatever property conflicts in the world, he resolves them. He also has a PhD. That is the entire we are talking about. Now, it is true that we entered entire school as NRA child soldiers, Kadogos. And it was a bit tempting because indeed we had lost years in freedom fighting, so we are older than our classmates. And recently I came head on with a certain NRM cadre activist, I think called Kisa Chamokama or something. He found me with the Secretary General and a lady lawyer called Joyce Nalonga. Joyce is a member of the IGG tribunal. So Joyce was telling the Secretary General that Awich was my classmate. And this man kept asking them, we were standing, that how can Awich be a classmate to this girl. This girl is young, which is old. And he kept repeating it. I think the Secretary General and Joyce thought it was an embarrassing question. So I told them, I said, but this gentleman is raising a very pertinent issue. Why don't you answer him? His question is, I am older than Nalonga. How could I have been in the same class? I said, comrade, I have an answer for you. The answer is simple. We had dead years fighting in NRA in the course of the struggle. So by the time we went back to school, we were older than our classmates. Simple. And here comes the beauty in Intare School. Of course, we were only 9 because there are many Kadogos. We were 9 in Intare School, and one of us is now the chief of pharmacy in the whole army. In other Kadogos, even the chief of finance is a former Kadogo, but in Intare School, the chief of pharmacy. The reception was a little worrying, of course, for the first Kadogos, because we're not sure, the school was not sure whether these militarist children would behave well. We were 9, we were few. Mbarai School had 43, and other schools had more. Intare School had few because of the entry mark. We did well. On my part, Mr. Commander is here. At the end of senior 6, the Kadogos who were doubted, who were suspected of discipline because of their past, in the school we used to have, at the end of the year, best in cleanliness, best in sports, best in this, best in that. In the staff room, they failed to get me a prize. They created a prize, best all round. Am I lying? they created for me a prize, best all round. And I once, Mr. Commander came to my bed in Pioneer House and asked me what I was thinking that I'm in Intare School. And what did I tell you? That now that NRA Museveni brings me here, it would be a shame if I don't succeed. I told you, didn't I? It was at night in Pioneer House. And we had this joke among us that I had a Rinitwe who was doing PCM. He was so bright, we had nicknamed him Mufumu, a witch doctor. Because he would go to class, not read, and get 98, 9. So we would make a joke. He would say he is in the pipeline to be an engineer. Indeed, he went to Makere, became electrical engineer. And me, I would make a joke that I'm in the pipeline to be a judge. And not only would I judge the living, but I will also want to judge the dead. I nearly made it, although it is not possible, because at some point, at the international human rights protection system, the global network system, Right Honorable Mama is aware, the global network system to protect human rights is such that 193 countries in the world sign conventions to protect human rights. Conventions on the right of the child, convention on the right of women, convention, economic and social, political, all sides of rights. Now the world asks themselves, now that countries have ratified, Malawi, Uganda, Portugal, Russia, who is there that will make these countries follow? So the world says they should elect 9 human beings. 9 human beings to sit as a court in Geneva in Switzerland to judge countries. I'm glad to say I was elected twice to that body. So I have been a world judge for 2 Kisanja, each Kisanja 4 years, totaling to 8 years. And for the avoidance of doubt, one of the voters then was none other than Senior Obi Butajira. Because Butajira was then the ambassador in New York. That was my second term election. Butajira is the one who voted. And just imagine Butajira, a former judge, a former speaker. Imagine, like Amin used to say, the Uganda Army of Kenya, the Uganda Army of India. Now, imagine the Butajira of Spain, the Butajira of Russia, the Butajira of America, and the Butajira of Brazil. They are sitting in New York, and they are 198, and they are voting. So I benefited from such a vote. And that is courtesy of Intare School. So the school then was free, as it was, including freedom of religion. I remember Reverend Aaron came one day in my room and told me to go to church, and I said I wasn't going because I had my radio cassette playing Lucky Dube. And he couldn't do anything. He left. But in the mock exams, which was marked in town, in one of the papers, I got 98. He cried. He said, how can a witch not go to church? And he gets 98. I told him, Reverend, it was marked in town. Secondly, by the time a student gets 98, he's capable of 100. Instead, my counterclaim is, where is my 2%? I really deserve 100. But that was the freedom, except cheating. We all know, because of a strong culture of all boys in Ntare school, the easiest way in our days to assemble students was to say, an OB wants to talk to you. That was the easiest way we could assemble the school. If you ever mention that in the library there's an OB wants to talk to the school, even the students who had run to Kajogo would come back. That culture was so strong. So we later on learned the birth of NRM in Ntare school. We discovered that there are 3 phases of NRM. There's the inception in Ntare school. There's NRM argumented in Dar es Salaam, and there's NRM in Luero. So, without any doubt, we discovered that NRM was born in Ntare school at the conceptual level. What we were not sure, though, was the first discussion, which dormitory was it in? Was it in Baguta or what? But to me, who came from Pioneer, I believe that the first discussion was in Pioneer House.
Thank you, Awich Paula. I know the conversation.
So that is
end.
it. And to that reason, therefore, I am an advocate of High Court, but I serve as the director for external affairs in the mighty NRM because it was born in Ntare school.
Thank you. So, Your Excellency, you can hear the testimonies, and when you listen to these testimonies, you really believe that the school makes nothing short of the best. And that's why the book is titled The Best of the Best. So we shall start on something that is particularly very close to me, which is the politics in Ntare school, the open debate, and the ability to share ideas without rebuke. And I remember very well, and Hussein is here, we had what we used to call the mock OAU debate. And here students would now personify the presidents and personalities of the time. So one time I was faced with a situation. I admired, of course, to mimic President Museveni, but at the same time I felt it was important to mimic Bishop Desmond Tutu. Now there was this. Whenever you had either a mock debate or there was a party or you had a social, in Ntare school is where you could borrow a tie from Mr. Kamhanda, borrow a shoe from Awich Paula, borrow a shirt from Aruho. If you need a belt that's a bit feminine, go to a female teacher and she will lend you her belt. So someone would wear an assortment of clothes, and if they are to distribute them where they pick them from, they must walk 10 kilometers around. So I had convinced my debate teacher that I think I want to emulate Bishop Desmond Tutu. Now my challenge was, how do I get the costume? So of course, my suspect was Reverend Sheldon at the time. I said I would borrow Reverend Sheldon's white collar and suit and appear as Desmond Tutu. But then, the fear of God came into me. I said, okay, this is a mock thing, but do you know, Simon, you could end up a priest if you continue. So I quickly changed my mind. I said, no, I will mimic President Museveni. So I went to, is Mr. Twehe around? I borrowed Mr. Twehe's green suit. I remember it very well. It was a double breast. I put it on and borrowed, I think, the cook's hat, a round hat, look like President Museveni. Up to now, Your Excellency, that fear of becoming what you were has not happened to me. I have not become a president, not even of a Rotary Club. So maybe I should have borrowed Reverend then Sheldon's garment. Maybe I would not still have ended up as a priest, but I would have made a very good show mimicking Desmond Tutu. So that said, you will allow me say the Chiganiro should really stop and we go back to normal programming, which is the official book launch. But before we go, one last one. I'm going to challenge a witch poller to one thing. In entire school, whether you wanted it or not, whichever part of the country you were respected, we did not have tribalism or anything. But no one exited that place without learning to speak the local language. So na nishamangu wa witch poller kwa tumuzindaro tugani roka chomuri nyankore. That is just a polite way to say now we can exit the stage. Thank you very much for joining us on the panel.
But we, one exceptional ground that would speak Nyankole was when we are in a company of Bweranyanje girls who have decided to speak only Nyankole. There I would speak very well.
Colin, please.
Thank you. Can you please clap for this prolific panel? Which poller, webare mnonga. Nango wa jezaho, webare. Thank you, Alan, Dr. Amon, and our wonderful teacher, Dr. Alice. Thank you. Wow. Let's just give them one more hand clap. The Chiganiro was taking shape, and then we realized that we must get to the gist of the evening. And so we will now switch. We could then get to partly the gist of it. It is true, as has been said, that there was a gate for the full time of my O-level, 91 to 94. There was a gate, but there was no fence. It's a phenomenon for a school. You have a gate which functions. The gate was always open, but there was no fence. So I don't know how that works, but I think that's the freedom that entire school students always enjoyed. And we learned until, of course, Mr. Kamhanda came and Bishop Sheldon, and they felt a fence was in order. So before I left in 96, 97, a fence was coming up, and we felt constrained in the fence, but discipline came back, and of course you're going to hear the results. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we had a friend called Joe Kahinimbanye here who would have given us something, but I think we will switch him to the next stage. Oh, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we just switch to welcome the author, I want to ask Joe to come. And just, Joe Kahinimbanye is an old boy of Ontario School, but is also a musician or an artist. And we thought, just to break the ice a little, we'll have just one song. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take the pleasure of inviting the author himself to come and speak about this wonderful book, Best of the Best. So, Joe, why don't you take... Joe was with me in Scripture Union, the popular Scripture Union that His Excellency, the President, talks about in Tare School. I was the vice chairman of that Scripture Union, and we were under Dr. Aaron Mwesije, later on Reverend Sheldon. So it's good to have you here. Joe, give us a song, and then we'll get to a very, very serious part of this evening. Go for it.
Inga, inga, inga. Iwe kanyanya. Inga, inga, inga. Inga, eh. Inga, inga, inga. Yeah. Inga, inga, inga. Iwe kanyanya. Ora de diare. Iwe kanyanya. Omure diare. Thank you.
Well done, Joe Kahirimbanyi. Please, another hand clap to another talented old boy. As you can see, Ntare School has vast, diverse talent. And Joe, please stay close by. Along the way, you'll be coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, we really need to get to the gist of the evening. And you will see beautifully well done copies. Today is not just a launch, but we're also doing a book sale. And as the author will be coming up to tell you more, Best of the Best is here. It's on sale at 50,000 shillings. But if you want it personally autographed at the end, I'm sure you can pay 100,000 for an autographed signed by the author, because some of the proceeds will be going to a foundation. So please support the wonderful cause. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to call my bishop, my deputy headmaster, the author of this book. Ladies and gentlemen, please clap and welcome Bishop Sheldon.
Thank you very much, Collins. And thank you very much, Joe Kahirimbanyi. His band is called Kwera Band. Perhaps some of you have heard about it. And I get amazed at the talent that is in Ntare School. And as Alan Tonix has mentioned, the opportunities we put at their disposal to be who they could become. Thank you, Simon, for the far that we've gone and for the panel. These are the remarks at the launch of the book, Best of the Best, made in Ntare School. Welcome remarks. My dear wife, Dr. Alice, and I, and our family, we take this opportunity to warmly welcome you to this historical book launch, which has been graced by a cross-section of distinguished Ugandans from different fields of human endeavor. Special appreciation to the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda. It is an honor, it is a privilege to have you. We've added you to Ntare School. We first invited her in Chivura Girls. She's an OG of Chivura Girls, and now she's an OB of Ntare School. We are also privileged to have Right Honorable Amama Mbabazi as our guest of honor, a distinguished old boy. Distinguished. I remember when President Museveni was being given
a special order of the lion. By the way, these things no longer take place. I don't know what happened. The old boys executive, I don't know. When President Museveni was being given this distinguished order, there was a description made by Professor Tassis Kabwejere, and he was describing the relationship between President Museveni and Kategaya, Right Honorable the late. And he used a word which I picked and noted down. The word was saying that their relationship was more or less telepathic. I want to believe that angle of telepathy, certainly, which was between Kategaya and Museveni, is the same line between between Museveni and Amama Mbabazi. That's my submission. From the little I know. So we are so lucky to have you here. All other distinguished dignitaries in your respective capacities, I will not go deep into them. I want to appreciate Bishop Stewart University. Some of those who came in a bit late, you could have missed. There was a wonderful launch of the strategic plan 10-year of Bishop Stewart University. And I must tell you that we are at a phase in the life of Bishop Stewart University of being the best of the best. What Professor Mugisha left out is that recent past, when we had the national exhibition, Uganda National Council for Higher Education exhibition, whose main theme was on artificial intelligence, Bishop Stewart University emerged the fourth best university in Uganda, including these government universities. We beat them all. Yes, we did. So we really thank God for where we are. So BSU is part of those who really supported me even for this launch. And I'm the chancellor, but you don't take things for granted. So thank you so much, council members. Thank you, chairman council. Thank you, vice chancellor. I wish to extend particular appreciation to the following categories of people. My wife, number one. We had a teacher, the ones Kasiate was describing in Chivura of history. Examine. Oyetejeres. Discuss. Chigambeho. So my dear wife, it goes without saying, nichijenda chitagambiri. So I want to appreciate you. You had to put up with the obsession I had of writing this book project. And the vice president asked me how long it has taken. I don't know whether, I can't quite recall, but it could be like a period of about two years, something like that. My children, it is good to have children. Shiba, engineer Shiba, please. She's an electrical engineer. By the way, you were supposed, oh yes, now this photograph is very, very interesting. This is entire school photograph. Because seated on the left is Siobhan Nsimenta. Come close. Siobhan, that's my daughter. Hey, that's the lady. She works with URA. And I thank God for her. She has helped me very much in editing. Siobhan was born in entire school. The children Kasiate was talking about, 1996. 96, every year a child, you know. 1996. Then next is Philemon Tugume. That's the husband of Shiba. He's an OB of Ntare School. Yes, he had to be. And actually, he narrowly missed in being in this book where we have people who got 25 points maximum, 20 points maximum. He got 24, narrowly missed. You can try next time. So that is engineer Tugume. Then Shiba, my daughter. Let me first introduce Shown on the right-hand side is our eldest boy, and also went to Ntare for A-level. Is now in university in Nairobi, and he's Ntare, so he has Ntare blood. So do you see the Ntare blood there? Shivon, Tugume, Shiba, even the child Abigail has Ntare blood. Sean has Ntare blood. Alice, my wife, of course, too much blood, Ntare. Now for me, I don't know what to say. Ntare blood. That's the only guy who has no Ntare blood, but you never know. He's at Budo in senior 4. So we have Ntare blood, serious. So I was appreciating my children. Shiba has been the chief editor. Actually, the first batch of the books, those of you who got the first batch, there were some mistakes here and there. And I can see now Professor Mwende Genestic, stand up, yeah. That's my student of Chibura. She lectures at Makerere University. The last time we had a book on Chibura, Contrasting Ironies, my student, you know, asked, he said, I read through your book. I thank God that I didn't see mistakes there. Because for me, when I get a book, on the first page, if I see problems, I don't continue reading. This is my daughter telling me so. Thank God you didn't see the first copy. The second copy is better because Shiba and Shivon made them better. Sometimes you even work with the publishers and their problems. So these children have done tremendous work. Shiba has even been the chief organizer of this. I want to appreciate Philemon, I've appreciated. Shivon is a global award-winning short film script writer and producer, actually. Last time we were in launching her film, short film, and she's about to produce another book. We shall invite you next time. My sons, Sean and Shane, I appreciate them for the conversations we had on the subject matter, which helped me to develop the story. We talk almost about everything in our home. If you are doing something, we discuss and we chat. I want to appreciate Professor Monica Chibita, who did the commendation of the book. I want to appreciate Professor John Mujisha. They read through and they did commendation. Also Professor Pauline Chibwika, the Vice Chancellor of MAST, for reading through the book and writing commendations. You will see them, they talk about the book, and they make you love the book. They give an overview. I wish to single out some few guests. Mr. Stephen Kamhanda, who needs no introduction, former headmaster, the hero around whom this entire school recovery story revolves. You've been hearing these stories of these boys here. To get marks from these boys, do you know what it means? Hey. In fact, Mr. Mwika has sent in his apologies. I think also Edge has caught up. When I rang him, he said, I had just been to Kampala. We had agreed he would be here. But then I think he said, is he 80 or something? He said he had agreed to be here, but then he had medical reviews and then he couldn't. When I rang him to invite him to come to attend this, as they've told you, Mr. Mwika came in 1995. I also came in 95. We came with a generator and the pickup, courtesy of the Old Boys Organization and parents, the generator and the pickup. There was no organized prep in Ntare school. Chivura Girls was more organized than Ntare. That's how bad Ntare was. We would go to look for students in dormitories to come to class, and they would run to Kajogo, the slum. That's how serious it was. People don't seem to know. That's why I wrote this story. When you have eaten, you have drunk, you have never forget where you came from. So, I want to appreciate Mr. Mwika, who was my colleague, and the three of us could have been described as the three musketeers. So I want to thank God for that. Why the title Best of the Best? Ntare School's history in 1956 started with a bank. When students excelled in the academics, those of 1956, the first class excelled. In fact, there is a guy called Frank Katsime or something. was he among the first cohort? Probably not. No, that one came later. There are others over Kateiguta, some names. They performed so well that when they performed so well, other traditional schools, Budo, whatever, they said, Chisubi, is this true? Professor Kagame is here. They said this can't happen. They were disqualified for 2 months. But when they cross-checked, they said, hey, the guys can do it. Crichton, the first headmaster, describes it in the book. The students started excelling, and everybody wondered, why is this so? When they interviewed him, he said, perhaps there is something in the Mbarara air that causes students to pass. But that Mbarara air, does it only stop on Ontari Hill? I don't know. That's what Crichton said. So, the schools, this trend was interrupted around the late 70s and the early 80s. The revival of the fortunes of Ontari School started around 1992 when Mr. Kamuhanda was posted to Ontari School as headmaster from Budo, and it reached its climax in 1995 after the 1994 incident which Collins had described. There was a strike, terrible strike. We found when it had happened, 95. And what happened? Students said, we must turn this around. There was a debate in the dining hall, the culture of debate and discussion. There was a debate in the dining hall. I was one of the main speakers on the side of the administration. Mr. Muheiru Aaron was on the side of staff. Then there was a student, Awich Pola, yeah, this guy here, was there on the side of. Students committed, said, no, we should turn this around. Our school cannot perform like this. I will soon be referring you to the statistics and you see. They said, let's turn this around. It was resolved to launch Operation UNEB. In that debate, a student would come up and say, you teachers, you're not teaching us. You're dodging us. You headmaster, you need to do this. There's something missing in here. And one of those, of course, is Kashirinji. Kashirinji, I will tell you this. This is, you stand up. Some people have not seen you. They don't know you. He's the son of the late Kano Kashirinji. Kashirinji is in the school. For me, when I describe him, he's like someone who was like a loner. I might be wrong. Yeah, what Kashirinji did, the administration, he would critique us. Then he turns to students, he also critiques them. So he was alone. But very principled. Thank you so much. These students helped us to turn around the school. It's not only us. They did. So we appreciate what you did, really. Sorry, there's something. Yes, got in it. So why the title Best of the Best? I was still continuing. 1992, then the strike, then 1995, the turnaround. Operation UNEB was launched, and Kagambirwe Daudi, a student then from Kavale, wrote in the new vision, Ntare School launches Operation UNEB. The rest is history. If you want to understand that, you go to page 300. If you have the book, you go to page 300. That's a very important page. 374. Now you listen to this carefully. 1988, Ntare School had a first grade percentage pass of 28.1. You internalize that. You hear people saying, Ntare School, the lion, roar. It used to be a cat. It was mewing at that time. Yes. 1989, 26.4 first grade percentage pass. 1990, 35.7 first grade percentage pass. 1991, 32.5. 1992, Mr. Kamuhanda comes and there's some glimmer, 48.8. something there, you see. 1993 disaster strikes. I think they were opposing the kind of things that were there. I can see Barigayomwe here, Professor Barigayomwe Rogers, one of our students, great debater. Yeah. 1995, by God's grace, like we said, I came from Chivura, Mr. Mwika from Chisubi, and the generator came, preps started, including morning preps. The story changed. First grade percentage pass, 69.8. Are you noticing? 69.8. So if you have a statistical mind, you know that we are in business. 1996, 73.4. 1997, 84.2. 1998, 88.6. 1999, 91.8. Should I continue? And so on. So, that's why this story had to be told, so that other people can know. In fact, we challenge those who are there. I had invited the headmaster, the current one. I don't see him, or his representative. I don't know what could have happened. But it is very important to know where you are coming from, so that you peer into the future and you know why probably that is. Spirituality at Intare School, I'm almost concluding. No, before that, there's this. Support from the old boys. Yes, support from the old boys, including His Excellency the President, the late Honorable Kategaya, Right Honorable Mama Mbabazi, and others was very instrumental. And of course, Professor Kamuntu was the chairman of Old Boys for a long time, during which we did fundraising for the library, during which we established the main hall. Actually, you had proposed that we call it a center of culture and performances. I don't know where that name ended. It didn't. So, spirituality at Intare School, as I come to a close. I want to talk about spirituality at Intare. Mr. Stephen Kamhanda considered spirituality a very critical component. I think that's why he invited me to Intare. And we had teachers on staff who had influence, spiritual influence. You may not have noticed, like my wife Alice, you know. All these students, even who ended up medical doctors, engineers, and she was a very good teacher. She would get distinctions in history, Keronga, whatever, those students. Nolebu Mujisha, these are top doctors with PhD. But history, the teachers, Mrs. Mebo to Inamasko, the council, the moderating influence of ladies in boys' schools is also very key and important. They played a key part, and we thank God for. So I was pleasantly surprised much later after the publishing of my book, when I decided to do research on the content of the articles about spirituality. And I discovered that 40 out of the 90 students were born again. And they talk about it in the book. Now that is surprising. That's very interesting. You wouldn't think about that. And it doesn't mean that the other 50 are not necessarily born again. In fact, there are some born again who never talked anything about spirituality. So, the point is that the majority are godly, or were godly. One student revealed that the spirituality I found at Intare School was much more intense than the one I had left at my former school, which was a church-founded school. That is a serious statement. Intare School students loved the Lord, and I trust that they continue to do so because the Lord has blessed them, and I hope and pray that they continue to thank Him because He has blessed them wherever they have gone. And they have ended up excelling in all fields of human endeavor. Thus, the title, Best of the Best. Teachers, very key. Students, leaders, very key. But the story revolves around Mr. Kamhanda, Mr. Mwika, and I, by God's blessing. In fact, there are two students at two different points who mentioned that the coming of Mr. Mwika and I was like, you know, these people love football very much, like the introduction. Sir Alex Ferguson introduced, who is that? He introduced 2 players. Simon, you haven't read the book. You would have been 2 students refer to that turnaround of the match, and we thank God for that. Who are we? Who is my family that you could lead me to do that? So I pray that you read through. It is at 50,000. Now, one thing you notice, go to Aristoc. I don't think you will get a book of this size, of this quality, at 50,000. Why is this so? Personally, I love people to get to know the story. And most Ugandans don't read. They don't value books. So when you put a book at 80,000, 90, you know they are not going to read it. So I had to make sure I sacrificed to keep it at least near, at 50. And one of the other things I'm doing is that I dedicated it to the bright and needy. We have many. Ntare School is mainly characterized, or used to be, by the bright and needy. In fact, currently I have a student, Ntare boy, who was sponsored by Mbara High School boy, by the way, to study at Ntare. He's doing medicine at Gulu University. And this boy collapsed recently because of hunger. Nutrition. And the doctors came, he collapsed twice. They call it being unconscious. And the doctors say poor nutrition. They were assessing him. He's on a scholarship, but he's very poor. So one of the things we decided to do as Ankole Diocese, when I became a bishop, I established the Bishop Scholarship Scheme. We have about, how many, Reverend Agasha? You sent me the numbers. Yes. 191. Yeah. Even some at university. We shouldn't lose this talent. We also have the Keith Waddell Foundation. So in fact, the proceeds from the book, 10% I put it on the Keith Waddell Foundation. We have bright and needy children, and as a result, we are going to produce so many bright guys in many different professions. When I became a bishop, I said, these schools, they are Church of Uganda. So who owns them? It is the church. Surely if I have 500 students and 2 students don't pay a shilling, what do I lose? May the Lord God bless you. I recommend the book to you. Thank you so much.
Another hand clap to our author of the evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. And also for the great culture of acknowledging the people that you worked closely with, Mr. Kamhanda and Mr. Mwika and the whole team is a strong culture I have just picked by, reading through the book. Your acknowledgement that it was teamwork that got you here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me at this point to welcome our guest of honor who will give his remarks. I saw a wonderful historical picture right there, Right Honorable Emeritus, where you were 2002, almost 23 years ago, you were at Ntare School visiting with both sitting presidents, OBs of Ntare School, and would love to hear of your immense history of the school and of course the connection with tonight's launch. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite the Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus Amama Mbabazi. Thank you. And I request, sir, that you will take the honors to invite our chief guest, because I don't have the right shoes to do that. Thank you.
Your Excellency, retired Major Jessica Alupo, the Vice President of the Republic of Uganda, political leaders present. I see retired ones only. And the reasons unknown to all of you because the active ones are in the field. I see reverends and all of you whom Mr. Stephen Kamhanda, the former headmaster from Tare School, the Right Reverend Associate Professor Fred Sheldon and Mrs. Mwesigwa, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I prepared a speech which I am not so sure about now, having listened to so many people. You know, when Simon comes and says, "Entire old boys, old bees," and you know, you are talking of 1990, when I was Minister of Defense. I suggest Francis and Ephraim, maybe we should establish an OOB. Old boys. So that there is a clear distinction between me and a witch. But anyway, clearly, I think many of you we have not talked enough. Maybe we need a book covering the period before the subject of this book, so that you can know that I was the president of the debating society at Entire School. Museveni was president of a debating school. I was president of the Geographical Society. I was an athlete. I was a rugby player. And I think the most active thing I was involved in, I was an athlete, but I was an actor. If Idi Amin had not taken power and things changed here, I think I would have ended in Hollywood. So maybe we should tell those stories, and the ones before me, Francis, Ephraim, and others. But anyway, it gives me great pleasure to join you today at the launch of Best of the Best Made in Entire School, a book that celebrates one of Uganda's most remarkable educational journeys. The story of a school that fell into decline, confronted its failures with courage, and rose again to reclaim its place among the finest institutions in Africa. Let me begin by thanking the author, Bishop Fred Sheldon Mwesigwa, our Bishop of Ankole Diocese, and Chancellor of Bishop Stewart University, for documenting this inspiring story. What he and his colleagues achieved at Ntere in the 1990s is not only part of our school's history, it is part of Uganda's moral and intellectual heritage. Ntere School, as we all know, I think everyone knows this, occupies a special place in our nation's story. It has produced men. Now you have added women by recruiting Her Excellency the Vice President to join the OBs of Ntere, but who have shaped the destinies of nations. Among them, of course, President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda and President Paul Kagame of Rwanda. I am myself proud to be an OB of Ntere School. And I stand here as one of many who can trace our sense of discipline, purpose, and public service to the lessons we learned on that Mbarara Hill. Our generation, I have changed my speech because I received this book. I have been involved in mediation and conflict resolution in Africa. So when I received the invitation, I was running around in that effort. So I did not receive the book. Actually, it was sent to me yesterday, and I looked at it this morning. So I just scanned through. I have not deeply studied it, especially the testimonies given by OBs. But originally, I had planned to talk about our Ntere, the one I knew. That was my speech. But when I looked at the book, I thought it would not be relevant for me to speak about our time. And that's why I say maybe we should find time so that we talk about Ntere from beginning to present, so that we cover the Francis Mutajiras, the Kamuntus, all those people, so that you have a picture of what Ntere was. And when you talk about decline, you know from what to what. So our generation was molded by the great William Crichton, Matu, as we fondly called him, of course, behind his back. He had huge ears, so we all called him Matu. I suspect he knew, but he was the type who would not disclose that we knew what we called him. But Crichton was a man of principle, fairness, and vision. He taught us that education was not about passing exams, but about building character. He wanted us to become humanists, men of integrity, courage, and compassion. He demanded excellence, but never at the expense of fairness or decency. When he left Uganda after the 1971 military coup, Ntere lost not just a headmaster, but a moral campus. The school's glory started to fade. There followed years of turmoil, destroyed infrastructure, lost discipline, and a revolving door of headmasters. I don't know, Mr. Kamhanda, you are headmaster number what after that? It must have been quite a few. By the late 1980s, Ntere was a shadow of its former self. But as this book shows, the story did not end there. In the early 1990s, a new team answered the call to rebuild. At the heart of this revival were three devoted men. Let me repeat what the bishop said in his speech. Mr. Stephen Kamhanda, of course, who came from King's College, Budo, to serve as headmaster. When did you go? 1992. Then Reverend Fred Sheldon Mesigwa, as he was then, appointed deputy headmaster and chaplain, and Gerald Mwika, a dedicated chemistry teacher and old boy of the school. Wasn't he an old boy of the school? He was. When Reverend Mesigwa arrived in 1995, Ntere was in disarray. Indiscipline was rampant. Students dodged classes. Teachers were demoralized. And the school's reputation was in ruins. Some of his colleagues doubted that anything could come out of what was then called, I didn't get this Akajogo story. Akajogo. In my, I was captain of which house, Simon? Simon has failed history. He gets distinction 1 in everything except history today. So in the valley, we used to call it Biafra. Is it the same? Biafra. You changed it to Akajogo. Oh. Anyway, so Reverend Mesigwa, as is clearly covered in the book, he met resistance, even hostility, from some teachers and students. But he responded not with anger, but with patience, faith, and what he himself calls dignified resistance. He confronted decency not with punishment, but with purpose. The turning point came in 1995, I think it was, after a year of crisis and poor national examination results. The school community, teachers, students, and the Board of Governors, I hope I got it right, held this debate. They held a bold, open debate, as the bishop was saying, where open methods of work, which I'm sure they had learned from us, the NRM, were employed. And they debated and diagnosed what had gone wrong. It was there that the student he named, Daudi Kagambirwe, coined the new famous slogan, Operation UNAPE, a declaration of war on mediocrity. This was not mere a slogan, it was a spark of self-belief. From that moment, the spirit of Ntere was rekindled. Morning and evening preps were introduced. Debates and reading culture were revived. Discipline returned. Teachers and students began working as one team. Faith and leadership were fused in a shared moral mission. And as the book rightly observes, the rest is history. Intare rose from the ashes, a resurrection led not by decree, but by conviction. But the story of rebirth was not only academic or moral. It became physical and institutional. By 1997, the fruits of Operation UNEB inspired a new campaign to rehabilitate the school's infrastructure. Under the leadership of the late Right Honorable Elia Kategaya, a great old boy and patriot, and a donors conference was convened that brought together alumni from all walks of life. With the strong personal support of President Yoweri Museveni and President Paul Kagame, Intare experienced an era of visible renewal. President Kagame contributed, in the book you say $20,000, $30,000 towards the school's rehabilitation, and many individuals, companies, and other institutions joined in restoring the facilities. The campaign led to the construction of the Crichton Memorial Communications Center, a state-of-the-art library and ICT complex. Broken classrooms were repaired, water systems restored, modern sanitation installed, and the physical environment uplifted to match the school's revived spirit. This phase demonstrated that the moral transformation of a community must always be matched by material investment and collective effort. This story teaches us a timeless truth, that leadership is not about authority, but about inspiration. It is about guiding others to rediscover their own strength. Bishop Mwesigwa, Mr. Kamhanda, and their colleagues did not simply rebuild a school, they revived a culture, a way of thinking and living based on integrity, effort, and excellence. What happened at Ntare is a microcosm of what can happen in any nation or institution when values are restored. It reminds us that decline is not destiny. With good leadership, faith, and unity of purpose, renewal is always possible. Another powerful theme in the best of the best is the enduring connection between generations. The visits by Presidents Museveni and Kagame to their alma mater were not mere ceremonies. They were homecomings, moments when leadership returned to its roots. Their presence reminded students that greatness begins in humble classrooms, dormitories, and debates. When the boys saw those who once sat where they sit now return as presidents, they understood that Ntare's motto, better your best, is not just an ideal, it is a proven path. As an old boy myself, I too have walked those corridors and spoken at those assemblies. Each time I have felt a sense of renewal, a reminder that leadership is a relay race. and that our duty is to pass on the torch of discipline and service to those who follow. The book also pays tribute to the young men who translated vision into daily action, and the bishop made that point here. And he rightly calls students' leadership the bastion of a successful school system. Prefects such as Kashirinji, Hussein here, and others that were named stood out as examples of youthful courage and responsibility. They reintroduced order, endorsed preps and cleanliness, and led by example. Their work ensured that the new values being taught by their mentors were lived out in the day-to-day rhythm of school life. The moral is clear. No transformation is complete without the participation of the young. In every generation, leadership must be nurtured, guided, and trusted to act. So, what is Ntare's broader legacy? Today, Ntare School stands once again among the best in East Africa. Its alumni include statesmen, judges, doctors, engineers, professors, entrepreneurs, and soldiers, men and women who embody the motto, better your best. But the truest measure of Ontario's success is not the prominence of its graduates. It is the character they display in service to society. For that, the credit goes to the generations of teachers who saw their profession not just as a job, but as a mission. The revival of Ontario offers a powerful lesson for Uganda as a whole. We too have faced times of decline in values, in institutions, in trust. But like Ontario, we can rebuild. The key is not to look only at what went wrong, but to ask, as Ontario did in 1995, what must we do right? When a community of believers, teachers, students, leaders, and citizens unites behind a shared vision, even the most broken institutions can be restored. If Ontario School could resurrect from ruins to glory, then Uganda too can continually renew itself. Through faith, courage, and collective effort. So, in conclusion, Bishop Sheldon, through this book, you have done more than tell a school's story. You have given us a national parable, a reminder that decline is never final and that renewal begins with leadership rooted in values. To the current students of Ontario School, I don't know if there is any, you all appear to be OBs only. I say, cherish your heritage, live by your motto, and never forget that excellence is a journey, not a gift. And to my fellow OBs, old boys, let us keep alive the spirit of service and unity that defined our school and our time. Let us better our best in whatever roles we play in the life of our nation. Ontario School has always been and must remain the best of the best. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our school. God bless our country. So now it is my singular pleasure and honor to invite my friend and distinguished leader of this republic, Her Excellency Jessica Rupo, the Vice President, to come and address our meeting. Thank you.
Please take your seats. The Right Honorable Mama Babazi, the Right Reverend Sheldon Mwesigwa and your dear wife, the former head teachers of Ntare School and teachers, if they are here, and the most outstanding one was named already as a former teacher, and all the OBs of Ntare School in your respective capacities and ranks. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am very privileged and indeed I feel humbled and honored to be among this distinguished family of Ntare School this evening. I thank the Right Reverend Sheldon Mwesigwa, Bishop of Ankole, and your dear wife for inviting me to be part of this very important ceremony when we are launching a very important book, Best of the Best, made in Ntare. I'm going to read the message which I have written, but I would like to thank, I don't know whether it was the choice of the invitees or it has just been a coincidence, because I have looked at all the tables here, and in every table I have either 2 or 3 OBs I have done some work with, I have interacted with in one way or the other, or many of them have actually mentored me. I was very happy when I saw the Right Honorable Mama Babazi, because when I joined the politics, I was relatively young. I'm now an elder also. But he was among the leaders in government who mentored me and many others, of course, many others. And we owe you a lot. He has just stated that what is more important and what has made you, the OBs of Ntare, stand out and shine wherever you are. Amongst the qualities is the character. And your character is such that you offer guidance to your colleague, maybe to your junior. You offer support to those who need, but you don't blow it up. If there are those who blow it up, they are isolated individuals like maybe Simon Kashate, but many of you are really gentlemen. I have been with Simon Kashate. This is on a light note. Don't take it personal. I have been to a number of occasions with the Right Reverend Sheldon Mwesigwa and his dear wife, including in Ntare School, Bishop Stewart University, Kiburura Girls, Kibubura girls. Then we also went to Rugaga for the Millennium Circle activities. And I must say that one of the key leaders that demonstrate the character of the OGs and OBs of Ndare School and clearly has made me understand your culture is also the Right Reverend Sheldon Mwesigwa. In human resource development, from nursery, primary, secondary, university, he believes in guiding the students to do what is practical and practicable between the student and the teachers. He has been to many universities, asking them to partner with Bishop Stewart University on innovation. He believes in the end result. Will the student be useful at the end of the day? I want to thank you for exposing the caliber of the OBs of Ndare School. I will not point at every table because cows will come back home. But I want to thank the Honorable Ruhindi for helping me during the time when I had a very serious challenge with FUFA and FIFA. And at that time, the Right Honorable Mama Bazi was the Prime Minister. He's the one who told me that work with the Deputy Attorney General. And when I worked with him, we never went wrong. He became a very regular visitor in the Ministry of Education, physically, sometimes having meetings with us. And because of that, regulation which you asked me to sign, which had never been signed from 1964, there was discipline in the federations of the sports in the country, and you can now not count how many medals we get on a day-to-day basis. That is the guidance the Right Honorable was talking about. Leaders must be guidable. Even the mentees should be able to listen. I hope that I was a good listener. And I will always be a good listener. Let me now read my short message so that we can continue with the program of Simon Kashate. But it is very exciting to speak about the former schools, primary, secondary. There are so many things that you can speak, so many. But the most important is that you are drawn into keeping the school in shape. In fact, in a better shape to match the generations and the times to come. And I encourage you to continue doing that. So, in short, I would like to say that I bring you warm greetings from your OB, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President of the Republic of Uganda, and Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports. I am delighted to be here today for the launch of the best made in Ndare School, a remarkable book authored by Right Reverend Professor Sheldon Mwesigwa. I have had the privilege of reading through its pages, and I am impressed by the historical accounts and stories shared by the old boys, which stories will shape the destiny of many other boys that will pass through Ntare School. Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa, congratulations on this outstanding achievement. You have done justice to Ntare School's legacy, capturing the essence of an institution that played a pivotal role in shaping Uganda's history. Ntare School's significance extends beyond its academic excellence. It is the cradle of the NRA/NRM revolution that transformed Uganda. And I think that was summarized very meticulously by my rank mate, Major Paula Awit. The school's illustrious alumni include His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and His Excellency Paul Kagame of Rwanda. This is a testament of its transformative power. Of course, in addition to all the hobbies and their professions which have been highlighted here, including the artist. I recognize you, the artist, so much, because many parents in Africa do not encourage their children to pursue that profession of performing artists. I have a child who was in Namagunga who had a very soft voice, and she kept on telling me that she wants to be a singer. From S3, S4, I kept on ignoring her requests. But she continued sometimes writing even the songs, very thematic songs. Then one time I told her that she can first do a profession and then she can also combine that profession with singing. I think that she now dropped the idea of being a singer because she no longer talks about it. But maybe she can be a performing artist, but she has now graduated in her LLB and she's doing her master's in LLB. But she's not talking about the singing again. But I want to thank the performing artists because it is one of the very, very practicable areas which every generation, every ceremony like this cannot do without. And I'm sure they are invited to perform, and at the end of the day, there are a few of the guests who will walk away with an envelope after performing. Moreover, they enjoy the art. So with the new curriculum, all those components are now very clear for the young children who would like to do performing artists, and all the guidance is there. The student leaders, like Major Awich Paula, who infused NRA ideals into Ntare's culture, deserve recognition. There is another outstanding child soldier in UPDF called Onata. Was he with you in Ntare? Right Honorable, that I'm talking about is very vocal. And he talks very proudly about having participated in the liberation as a child before coming to school. We recognize the effort, Major. We recognize the effort. Of course, we do recognize the effort of the revolutionaries who started the struggle during the time of Ronasa. As His Excellency the President normally says, for him he has been in the struggle for over 60 years. So we do recognize all those cohorts. I hope this book inspires Ugandans and the global community to appreciate the power of leadership in shaping destinies. Ntare School's story is a testament to the diverse achievements of its old boys who have excelled in various fields. Congratulations once again, Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa, on this remarkable book. I commend it to all who value the importance of understanding our past to build a better future and sustain it the way it has been explained by the Right Honorable Prime Minister. I am also privileged to launch the strategic plan for Bishop Stewart University. Bishop Stewart University has demonstrated commitment to providing quality education, aligning with Uganda's education policies. The National Council for Higher Education regulates private universities, ensuring that they meet minimum standards. But the Right Reverend Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa has already explained to us that Bishop Stewart University has been meeting maximum standards, not just minimum. And while I was a Minister of Education and the Right Honorable was a Prime Minister, Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa was a very frequent visitor in both our offices. Because Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa needed to complete the legal requirements of a private university. And that was securing the charter for the university. I used to share a lot about it with the Right Honorable Mama Babazi. And the Right Honorable Mama Babazi apparently is a perfectionist. He could tell me to ask the bishop to work with the National Council for Higher Education to rectify all the required necessary requirements under the law in order for me to authorize the charter to be given. So I would relay the message exactly the way the Right Honorable had always told me. But the bishop and his team worked very, very expeditiously to fulfill the requirements from National Council for Higher Education. And I recommended to His Excellency the President, who is a visitor of the universities, to sign the charter for Bishop Stewart University. So we are very privileged to have participated in that very important step in Bishop Stewart, in the life of Bishop Stewart University. And we wish Bishop Stewart University to grow from strength to strength. Uganda's policy supports private universities' role in expanding access to higher education, promoting innovation, and driving national development. As a private university, Bishop Stewart plays a vital role in implementing government effort to improve education quality and accessibility. I commend the university leadership and stakeholders for their dedication to strategic planning, quality assurance, and community engagement. This plan will guide Bishop Stewart University's growth, fostering academic excellence and relevance. I am confident that Bishop Stewart University will continue to contribute significantly to Uganda's development, producing skilled graduates and driving innovation. So Bishop Sheldon, you have our support. Anytime you need the support for the university, we are ready to give our hand. I would like to conclude by thanking you, Bishop, for enabling me to become the OG of Kibubura Girls. That day he had invited me for a big fundraising for the science laboratory. And all the OGs accepted me as their OG by osmosis. And today I want to thank you again for enabling me to become the OG of Ndare School. By osmosis again. And that means that we are going to hold our hands together and work as a team to ensure that Ndare School continues developing more and more diligent and quality students who will serve Africa. They are all Pan-Africanists. Anyone who has passed through Ndare is Pan-Africanist. And they believe in East African integration. And that's why when I went there, the last time the bishop and Mama Alice took me there, I asked those boys that, do you know Karamoja? They said, yes, we know Karamoja. You were there, Bishop. Then I asked them that, are there Karamojong boys here? The Karamojong boys apparently were not there. I said, is there any Karamojong? All the boys looked behind. So I said, this school is a national school. I know many children from Teso who are there. Apparently, I think even from Langwa and other areas. So I asked the head teacher that, can I bring 2 boys here from Karamoja? 2 in S1 and 2 in S5? The headmaster accepted. Right Honorable, I have there now 2 Karamojongs there, 2 in S1 and 2 in S5. So Ndare School should continue having its national character, East African character and Pan-Africanist character. I thank the current headmaster for having accepted me to bring those Karamojong boys there. They will learn a lot in terms of settled commercial and dairy farming. And they will multiply, the multiplier effect of their learning there will shape the lives of many other young Karamojong children and also adults. So I thank you for welcoming me to become an OG, and I will always be available whenever the meeting is called. I know how the Honorable Bitex is now feeling, but I have not got a chance to be given that opportunity in your side. I will buy some books, which I think that the Right Reverend will take to the library of Ndare School. And the envelope which I have brought, you will count what is in that envelope. Give the bishop that envelope. and then see how many books that money can buy. I believe in the principle of secrecy and surprise. So what is in that envelope will not be announced. But you will take all the books to the library of Ontari School. I thank you for your kind attention, and may God bless all of us. Where you are in your respective offices, His Excellency the President, your OB is already nominated. So let's all be mobilizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And as is tradition, the launch of the book has to be symbolic and illustrative. But thank you for demonstrating that we have not chosen a wrong person to be an OG of Ontari School, and that you have done so by distinguishing yourself by buying books for the library. And as is always our tradition, we the Catholics believe in, indeed, as you've said, secrecy and surprise, because we believe that what the right hand gives, the left should not see. So, the author joins the first, yes. Now this is how we're going to do it, Your Excellency. You will pull the ribbon straps and it will open. You just open, you pull one, you pull it downwards. Thank you very much. The book is officially launched. And as is tradition, you will sign on the cover symbolically to show indeed that you launched the book. Your Excellency, certainly your signature cannot be cutting a lonely figure on the board. So you're joined by the distinguished Right Honorable Prime Minister Emeritus as an OB to sign. The author and his dear wife looks like they share one hand, so they will also sign. And after, as we prepare to do the honorable symbol of cutting the cake, I am going to request that after your signature, Mama Alice, you stand in formation as guided by the camera people to take a group picture with the dummy opened book. So now can we stand side by side to the book, Your Excellency, with your indulgence, to take a group picture. May I request that Mr. Stephen Kamhanda joins this group photo as well? I have seen the menacing of Dr. Vitex, but let us first organize this moment. And yes, now, again, Your Excellency, you will allow us bother you a little bit. On an event such as this one, the bishop prefers to break some bread. And who better to join him in breaking bread together than yourself? And literally there is bread right to the left of Right Honorable Mama Babas. And so we are requesting the bishop to guide us to the breaking bread location so that a cake is cut. I promise you, Your Excellency, if it were my own book launch, we would add popping champagne and other things that are popped from bottles, but we will respect the bishop and keep it at bread. And I believe that that prayer you have said in blessing is what they consider to be a closing prayer for the event. And now we can go to the formalities and protocols of the state. So may I request that the host, Bishop Mwesugwa and your dear wife, lead your guests back to their locations so that we follow through with the protocols of the state and what follows. And in following with the guidance of Her Excellency, any distinguished OB or those not distinguished friends of ours like Honorable Bitex, please endeavor to buy as many books as you can so that we support the dispensation of knowledge, especially that revolves around curating the lives of distinguished people made from Ontare School. Ladies and gentlemen, let's be upstanding for the anthems so that our function this evening concludes.
Mungu twaomba ulilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. And as is standard operating procedure, our chief guest now exits. But those who remain at the arena, please do not exit. The bishop and his dear wife and the family have arranged some refreshment which we believe should be partaken. Again, we add our voice and hand claps in thanking Her Excellency for joining us and celebrating with us this book launch and the formalities of which.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your very brief attention? Very brief attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce that we also have a book. We also have a book here from another prolific author, Mr. Stephen Kamhanda. It's also at the book stand. It's called As the Lion Roars, Ontare School in the New Millennium and Challenges of Leadership in the Post-War Uganda. Please pick a copy as you go out at 35,000 at the stand. Ladies and gentlemen, we have tea, and I'll ask our elders here, Professor Kamuntu and the team, to lead us as we pick a cup of tea. My brother Witch, if you could lead us to a cup of tea. Shiba, I believe the tea is ready. And let us remain behind, interact as we have a cup of tea. And I'll ask the DJ to slowly get ready to play some music. And I'll ask the elders, Bitex, if you could go with my headmaster, Mr. Kamhanda, for a cup of tea outside. Pass there. Mr. Witch, Major Witch, please.